From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode number 288 of From the Middle. We are three middle class guys living in the middle of America in middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle. In this one, we don't cover a bunch of different topics, but we do go on at length about our Hot Ones challenge, gifting chocolates to those that serve us, and how do you order a pita? Find out in this episode. We have a great time. Cue the intro music.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it?
You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
Middlers, a dream finally came true. Some of you already know, some of you watched the live stream, and some of you are anxiously awaiting the edited recording. But you know we're fans of the YouTube show Hot Ones on First We Feast, and the From the Middle Hot Ones challenge transpired this past weekend at Kendall's house. It happened. We finally did it.
And we're all here. We're all three here.
And
Dylan, say something so the people aren't scared.
I made it.
Yeah.
I was legitimately afraid for Dylan because of how mild his appetite for hot sauces is. But you conquered all 10 wings. I couldn't be prouder. You did go to the milk at one point, but you got through all 10. Your face was dripping with sweat. So was all of our faces, let's be honest. But we did it. You guys, it finally happened. Let's debrief.
Let's do it. Speaking of debriefing, so let's have a quick conversation. I'm sure the people are dying to know. We are now, 2 days later? 3 days later? 3 days later?
Yeah.
How have you been? Are your toilets still intact? Did you crack any bowls? Anybody?
No adverse effects whatsoever. I was thinking I might need Pepto or more toilet paper or something, but totally fine. We were talking about it just really briefly before. I don't think we all took very reasonable bites. None of us were nibbling. None of us were trying to suck all the meat off the bone, but like we weren't nibbling either. We took good bites, and but I still don't think it was enough to create any major problems. Maybe all these years of lots of Taco Bell has helped, not from a spice standpoint, but just from a throwing all kinds of things at my stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. There's the net amount of things that would probably be required to cause gastro problems. I don't think we certainly had enough to experience the heat.
Yeah.
But not enough to ruin even dinner later on that day. So
I think our sentiment was pretty consistent across the three of us, and that is, if you've ever watched the show, some people's reactions to even sauces number 7, 6, 7, 8 are a little scary. Like their reaction is so over the top that the thought of trying this ourselves was intimidating. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sound overconfident, but I think we all wrapped up the shoot going, the bomb is bad and was very hot, but I actually kind of think this whole thing thought this thing was going to be worse. Absolutely. And that was also true for the next day or two of bathroom experiences. So
yes,
I'm glad, Dylan's wife, Bree, was texting me on my way to the shoot going, do you guys have EMTs on standby? I was like, are there going to be heart issues?
Yeah.
Who knows? He can't even shovel his driveway without feeling lightheaded.
That's true.
I'm teasing. But and my reply was, well, technically aren't all EMTs on standby? I mean, that is the Anyway, I'm just glad, so proud that we got through it, but glad that that's how we're feeling after. Like, it was definitely bad. The bomb is like battery acid, and just your mouth does all kind of things, and don't let it touch your lips or any sensitive tissue. It's very bad, but overall not as bad as we thought.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
7 through 9, no, 7 through 10, 8 through 10. I don't remember.
The bomb was number 8.
Bomb was 8, 8 through 10. 8 through 10 had no redeemable qualities from a flavor standpoint. It's purely the entertainment value of you're just gonna take it and you're gonna like it, and you won't like it. But like the other ones had some flavor. You get a little sweet, you get a little, this one almost has a little barbecue sense of like maybe it's like a barbecue sauce or something. There's none of that once you hit 8, 9, 10. It's just take the heat and deal with it.
Yeah.
It's tough, but we survived. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's the challenge is done in order of Scoville units, which is like I forget exactly how that's defined, but it has something to do with how long it takes the capsaicin to like break down to the point that it's no longer detectable in your mouth or whatever. And so the bomb technically was number 8, and as we've mentioned before, and as Kory has mentioned, and we kind of already talked about now, is that like the bomb seems to be the one that is crazier even than 9 and 10. And part of my thought there was sort of twofold. One is there a point where like you reach a ceiling of my body reacts to capsaicin in a crazy fashion at this point, and the bomb is the first one that hits that point, and then the next two, even though they're higher in Scoville units, doesn't really matter because you've already hit the ceiling. So that was my first thought. My second thought was, is there something about the chemical makeup, the more or extra vinegar or lack of sugar or extra sugar or whatever it is about the bomb that makes your mouth more susceptible to the heat? And I don't know if that was true either, because we ate the bomb and that was like the flavor of it, and the heat just kind of like encompasses your face. And then when we ate whatever number 9 was, I thought at the time that it seemed a little sweeter. And I thought at the time that it's a shame because I can't taste it because I've still got the bomb in my mouth. And so after we were done, about 10, 15 minutes later, while we were cleaning up, there was a plate that still had 8, 9, and 10 on it. And I went ahead and grabbed and took a big bite out of number 9 again. And 2 things were true. One is it did not taste good. It was maybe a little sweeter than the bomb, but it also didn't taste good. Even though up against the bomb, it seemed like it was okay. It wasn't on its own. And the second thing is that I did not get a renewed rush of heat from eating number 9. So it was clearly the bomb affected me more than number 9 did.
Yeah. It's what you said earlier. So I just Googled it while you were speaking, and our AI overlords say this: the bomb hot sauce is often perceived as hotter than other sauces with higher Scoville units because it uses a concentrated chili extract, which delivers a more intense and immediate burn compared to sauces made with whole peppers, even if the Scoville rating is lower or higher. Essentially, the extract makes the capsaicin more readily available to react with your taste buds, causing a more potent heat sensation. And then it brings up in one of the key points, there's a perceived heat versus Scoville rating. So because it's the extract, that's why it's such an intense perceived heat, actual heat, whatever. Yeah, even over much feared hot sauces like Mad Dog 357, Blair's Megadeth, and Dave's Gourmet Ghost Pepper.
Yeah, it makes sense. It was fun. Like I would totally do that again. I enjoyed it, and I would have more fun doing it a second time because I wouldn't be going into it with anxiety.
Yeah,
knowing that like I can do this, I can go through it, but it did help that day, like I was showing some of the more family friendly episodes, so like Al Roker and and the like. I showed to my kids during that day, and like Al Roker like stone faced his way through the whole thing, like nothing was happening, and so that was encouraging to see like that can be done.
Yeah.
And then afterward, like I'm pretty sure I could stone face my way through the whole thing. It would take some composure, but it's doable. It's
Yeah,
doable.
and that's the thing. So like to your point, I had some people who watched the live stream text me afterwards and they're like, really good episode. That was really fun. I was actually worried that because we were managing all of it okay, that it made for less good content because we weren't being super
I
animated.
thought that too. Yeah.
And I thought even when I was reacting to DeBomb, I was like, okay, Kory, is it genuinely having this effect on you? Or you are aware that like, and I don't think I was playing it up. Like it was, I did want to open that window behind me at your house
Yeah.
because I was like in a hoodie and definitely sweating. But yeah, I was like, part of what prompted this, and thank you to Dylan and Kendall, because I've been pushing this for a while now. My kids have wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And because they see the box right here in my office of all 10 sauces, and they're like, can we do it? Can we do it? I'm like, I can't do it with you guys until I do it with the From the Middle guys first, because we've been talking about it for so long. So now, to your point, Kendall, I'm excited to try again with the kids and see how much of a brave face I can put on for even DeBomb and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few things. I to your point about your reaction, I was really making a concerted effort to not play up or play down and try to just react however I was feeling.
Mhm.
And I think my tendency was to try to push through to be composed, but that was natural, not for the camera. I wanted to do it because I wanted to do it for me. I wasn't doing it to try to do it because we were being recorded. I'm surprised at uh, what I perceive to be a low tolerance for heat. I'm now, in hindsight, surprised by some of the really big reactions I've seen on Hot Ones, because I feel like we specifically said at the beginning, what's your current kind of tolerance or likelihood to order spicy? And mine is low. I genuinely don't. It's not that I won't eat hot salsa or something, but I don't ever try to order it. It's not something that sounds good to me. So now I'm surprised that some people have reacted that way, and then it makes me wonder if they're reacting to seem more interesting or get them being a guest more clicks or whatever. And I don't know who said it. I think it was you, Kendall. Um, Ultimately, my version, I'm translating your thought through my own perspective, but I now feel more confident if I went to a restaurant and saw a dish that sounded good that was spicy. I feel far more confident that if I want to try it, I should try it, because I can't imagine it's going to be, most places where we live, worse than anything we tried doing that challenge. So now I feel like if something says, extra spicy, chicken sauce, veggies, I'd be like, okay, sounds good. That's what I want to try, and I'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah. That was specifically my question, because it's like we have done something that it's a weird, stupid, whatever hot sauce YouTube stunt that was a blast to do. But so I don't want to make it sound like I'm making it too big of a deal, but we have done something that most people won't do. We have eaten something spicier than most people will ever have. Like we've done that. I even told my kids, like I've eaten, when I was in college, I downed an entire ghost pepper. A group of us did. And I remember that being a more difficult experience even than this was. But at the time, like that was, and had been my entire adult life, the spiciest thing I had ever tried. And now, like I told my kids, like, now you guys are part of the story of the spiciest thing I've ever tried. And so we've all done that. And I'm wondering if we're in like a new space, a new culinary space now.
Are we on a different plane?
If you go to like a Nashville hot chicken or a hot chicken takeover place, if you're, like you just said, you're more confident to get I don't need to get mild. Like I know that I can handle something. But if your curiosity is piqued now to where you want to try their hot version, whatever it is,
And some of those
and
wing spots
compare it
will
to this
even have like,
experience.
oh, you have to sign a waiver to have our hottest sauce. I'm like,
Yeah.
can it be worse than the bomb?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because again, like, and I know I've mentioned it ad nauseum on Sunday when we were doing it, but like the bomb is not designed for what we did.
Right.
It's not designed to drizzle. It's not a condiment. That's not what the bomb is. Um, it's so
And I put a generous amount on those wings in that mixing bowl. To Dylan, to your point about celebrities' reactions that now seem over the top, I think it was Kester. Shout out to Jeremy Kester, Midler Jeremy. You've heard him before on earlier episodes of the podcast. He did all the filming for us, the live stream, and is helping us with the edit on the back end, post production. But anyway, he was like, it makes you wonder if celebrities are just used to a certain lifestyle and they can't be bothered to have like anything adverse happen to them, and so they're like, this is like, are they just, are they sissies? They don't want to have to deal with hard things. Fair question. I also have to shout out Brad, who gave me the box of the 10 sauces from season 24 as a birthday gift. Very generous. And also big thank you to John from the Grab 'em in the Brisket podcast, loyal listener of the show, made a generous donation in our tip jar to get the wings and the milk and other supplies that we needed for the shoot. So that was really fun. If you want to know how you can donate to this podcast, information on how to do that is below. It funds, it's just a kitty for the show, help us get better equipment, helps us get fun supplies for things like this that hopefully make good content for you all. It does not go to us directly.
And just a little thing, the platform that we use to consolidate all of our links actually removed the tip jar feature.
Okay.
But you can always just reach out if you feel so inclined, and we'll let you know what our PayPal account is. You can do that
There you
too.
go.
Yep.
There you go. Your money will get to us. So that was super fun. What else? Do we want to debrief anything else about that? I had so much fun doing it. I'm now looking forward to doing it with the kids and seeing who stops where. I think, Kendall, you said your prediction was, I don't know your kids, but if they make it to the bomb, I don't imagine that they'll go beyond the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Sauce 7, which I forget what it is right now. Sauce 7 was
getting real.
Was getting real.
Real. Sauce 7 was like, so 1 through 6 easily, like I would order a plate of those and eat them for dinner. No problem.
Yeah.
Sauce 7 is a little over the edge. I could eat a plate of it, but I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't order it if I knew.
I think 7, because I asked this while we were recording. I'm not sure if we were able to pick it up in the audio, but like my question to you guys was, at what point do you think it becomes novelty? Like at what point is it, even for people who like really spicy stuff, you're not ordering these sauces for flavor. Now it's just a pissing match, ego, fun little like, who can have the hottest sauce? And I think it started at 7.
Yeah.
Probably, certainly by 8, the bomb. Like, you're right. You were very generous in how much of all the sauces went on the wings, including but not limited to da bomb. And in my head, I was thinking that what they did was just, I was thinking Last Dab. I think they just put a little bit of sauce and didn't coat them. We coated all the wings and all the sauces, and da bomb was very generous. But
in all fairness, they weren't dripping.
No, but yeah, but it wasn't just like we brushed a little on the part we were going to take a bite of either.
Yeah,
the sauces were coated and stirred in a bowl of
Sure.
But I agree. I think really at 7, I agree with both of you. It's no longer like an enjoyable plate of wings anymore. You're doing it for your own motivation, for fun, for a challenge, for whatever. Frankly, myself, I maybe 1 through 3 ish would I ever actually sit and order and might enjoy. Anything beyond 3 or 4 for me, I wouldn't even want to order at a restaurant. So, if anybody's more like me, that's where you'll want to live.
So like Amy had like she had sampled several of them after we were done, and so like we sat down with my phone looking up Scovilles, and like just to have the knowledge. And so now I know that for me, if I'm in a restaurant and there's wings and I don't know things, if I have a way to look up their Scoville units, I know that if it's above 300,000, that's where I want to not order it anymore. And my preference is somewhere between, or no, not 300,000. Was it 30,000? Now my mind is getting all crazy because the
That would
bomb
be
was
about-
only like 130 something, right?
No. I'll get the thing. Keep talking.
Okay. Now I don't remember what the number is, so I need to be
write it in your
reminded.
phone. But ultimately, get the point. You're going to have an indicator that you'll write down.
I have a number now.
Yeah.
That I'll be able to reference to say that's about what I want. Sauces.
Yeah, the bomb is 135,600.
Yeah.
But then it jumps. Number 9 is 700,000. And then number 10, the last dab, which I was like, I think I went back and had the rest of that one. That's 2,693,000.
Yeah. So what was like number 6?
6 Ilmig by Onima is 71,000.
So anyway, and then what was number 7?
7 Black Eyed Susan's Red Flag was 126,000.
Okay. All right. So 130 is my cutoff as far as like I'm going to have a bad time. And then I think probably right around 100,000 is what I, as long as there's flavor, is what I would prefer.
Yeah. I'm at like 50 would be my probably enjoyable max.
Ketchup.
I did think about, but didn't want to spoil it. But if somebody was doing it again and they'd already done the challenge, having some ranch or blue cheese there to do a second bite of each. So take a bite with just sauce, take a second bite with some ranch or blue cheese, mostly just to see what it does with flavor and the heat on the second bite. I'd be curious. Not curious enough for me to do it, but I'd be curious. And for all the buildup and all the time we waited and tried to find a time, it didn't disappoint. The whole experience. If people don't enjoy watching it on social media, on YouTube, whatever, fine. I enjoyed it for our experience, and I was satisfied with the build up to doing it and the outcome. I had a bunch of fun, so I'm glad we got a chance to finally do it.
And thank you to loyal listeners who were sick and tired of us talking about doing it. Thanks for hanging in. It actually happened. Sometimes it's hard to align 4 schedules, and I really wanted Brad to be able to join us, who gave me the gift of the sauces. He is at the Super Bowl stuff this week and had a early morning flight the next day and didn't want to tempt fate by doing a hot sauce challenge the night
Don't
before.
blame him.
Fair.
In hindsight, would have been okay, but I mean, none
that
of
a
us
pun?
were ready to risk that. Yeah.
Hindsight? Okay. Speaking of foods, and to move off topic, I've noticed a trend when traveling, and would love to get you guys' thoughts on this. I think it's the third time it's happened where I've boarded a plane and the crew will say to another crew member, "Which one got us the chocolates?" And in one case out of 3, it was candy. And then those people end up getting a free round of drinks from the flight attendants. What do you feel about sucking up to the flight attendants with chocolates as a little gift? And then do you expect special treatment? What do you think of it in general as a practice? And then do you think you should get special treatment because you provided chocolates to the flight crew?
I think etiquette wise, obviously, you'd never do something like that with an expectation.
Fair.
Yep.
But doing it in the hopes, I'm fine with that. Makes sense to me.
Why does it feel
I fed
grounding?
contractors pizza in the hopes that they would be more diligent. Like,
fair.
Same kind of thing.
Midler John is a flight attendant. We need him to weigh in on this. Does this happen for you, John? Do passengers give you chocolates? And maybe I'm just seeing people who work in the airline industry in their street clothing, and they're doing this because they know you all appreciate this. And I'm just assuming they're regular citizens. Maybe that's the case. I'm very curious about this.
Is there any? I don't know, because that can vary. Like the gesture, the size, the quality, the like. There's so many like if you hand somebody a little 4-pack of like Hershey's something, they might even throw that away. They're like, I'm not taking a chance.
Yeah.
On a pack of Hershey's something, versus if it's we don't even have really nice, but if you're like flying from Europe and you got this huge gift box and you can't, those gestures are very different. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Everywhere in between.
there's some variability in there.
Using context clues, my assumption, and I didn't see the gift, but my assumption was that it was a nice small box for the 3 to 5 members of the crew. Not like an individually wrapped, here is a Hershey Kiss, but more like, here's a nice box for you all to share and enjoy.
Right. Yeah.
I remember Sebastian Maniscalco talking on the Pete and Sebastian show when his kids were very young and would inevitably cry on a flight, that his way of sort of like dealing with the preventative maintenance was to give chocolates with a note to the people in his immediate vicinity. And it said something like, my kids are probably going to cry during this flight. I apologize. I know that's annoying, having traveled a lot. Here's a little something to maybe, help with that experience as a gesture, because he overthinks like some of us do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting because that's still a nice gesture, but the intent is different. That's a pre-apology versus a bribe. And
Mm-hmm.
and so pre-apology makes way more sense. You expect nothing in return physically. You're just expecting a little bit of leniency versus, hey, I'm flying out of Paris back to the US. Here's a $500 box of chocolates, hoping that I can get first class tickets, a bunch of drinks, a bunch of whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to do that, though, I think it has to be somewhat proportionate to what you realize realistically a flight attendant can do for you.
sure. Yeah.
Right? They're not giving out vouchers for free flights. And so maybe the $500 box of chocolates is never going to be worth it in that situation if you're doing it in the hopes of something, not just trying to be nice,
Yeah.
right?
Good point.
So-
Bad example. $25.
$25 box.
That's fancy here.
And in the hopes that you and your 4 friends each get a free drink or two.
Yeah.
That's a little apples to apples.
What did you post in the From the Middle for the Middlers Facebook page recently, Dylan? Was it a picture of like Ferraro Rocher, the gold wrapped little chocolates? Like, what are the things in your life that having around makes you feel fancy? Like maybe it was like a small package,
a little sleeve of those.
Yeah. I said, what little things do you have around the house for Christmas or year round that make you feel a little fancy? And it's a peppermint candy dish, like a peppermint wrapper. It looks like a wrapper, but it's glass. And there was little Lindor, chocolate truffles. Well, I think it's Lindor or whatever, the same brand. I don't know. Little chocolate truffles that just feel a little fancy. You know what I mean? At least where we grew up. So, yeah, I mean, I think like, again, your intent, what you're trying to get out of it, if you're doing it because you just, want to do something nice. Yeah. So that was like a little dish. And as we would eat if you're on YouTube, you can see it. As we would eat those out, we would refill them. Guests that came over could grab some and have them and enjoy them. And it was meant to be like a nice, we don't have those out year round. We had those out at Christmas, but we do tend to have a little jar of some kind of inexpensive candy. That's a hospitality thing. And then selfishly, when we want what we like, it's sitting out in a jar and can grab it.
Kendall, mine now is because of you. It's the Topo Chico with lime. Having those around the house makes me feel fancy because that feels like the premier sparkling water choice.
Exactly. It's I mean it's good stuff. It's
It is
it's
good.
super
Very
it's
good.
super fizzy. Like it'd be challenging to chug one of those things. It's fun.
And helps a lot with hot ones. I actually had one after. Might have helped me even more than the milk. Something about maybe the lime acidity or something. I don't know. It was great. It worked great.
Something to cut through it. Yeah, I'd imagine oils are getting stuck in your tongue and like maybe something to like blast those out. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So mine
Well-
mine is, and I think I've covered this before, San Pellegrino specifically. So I have Topo Chico in the fridge downstairs.
Mm.
San Pellegrino, there's always a bottle of that on my nightstand because I enjoy having the fizzy water there. It helps with the stomach and indigestion. If I have an issue with that, it gives me something to drink. I don't have to worry about trying to find filtered water or something like that when I'm upstairs. And the San Pellegrino bubbles are friendly, and my tummy likes those. I call it my princess water.
Do you have your children on a rotating schedule swap buckets of ice to keep it cold at all times?
I don't keep it cold. I go European in that way with the San Pellegrino on my nightstand.
Well, maybe these words from our friends in Odd Pods Media will be the hint of lime to the oils of the first half of this episode.
Greetings, fellow nerds. It's Garrett, your host of the Nodak Nerd, part of Odd Pods Media, the podcast where we explore the vast realms of geekdom. From the latest superhero flicks to retro video games and everything in between, we've got you covered. Join me for insightful reviews, hilarious discussions, and maybe even a few heated debates. Find the Nodak Nerd wherever you listen to podcasts. Let's get nerdy.
Yesterday, my wife had a work dinner, and I'm on my own with the kids, and I decide that I'm going to take them to Wendy's, and the local Wits frozen custard place just opened, so maybe we head there after Wendy's, or just reopened. They're closed for the season, which for the Wits near us is like 2 weeks. They close for about 2 weeks, which is really weird to me that they do that, but they do. To the point that they sell everything off before they close for the season, and then they're back.
In my
Almost
head,
immediately.
I'd like to assume that's because they're deep cleaning for 2 weeks and then they
Maybe.
reopen for the year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's some kind of like a corporate thing where like the honchos at Wits tell the franchise owners like you have to close for a season and here's your checklist of things to do. And then, but our Wits is like, we do business all year, so we're just going to like do minimum closing and then do the stuff we're supposed to. I don't know what it is. I've thought about that too. But so we go to Wendy's, and one of my quirks is I like to get drive through, find a nice place to park and eat in the car. And so we did that. And if you're in Gahanna, you know that there's a lot of places to like sit and look at a creek. And so we did that. And we're sitting in this public parking lot for one of the public parks facing the creek. We're eating our Wendy's, the kids and I. And my son, Joel, notices out of the back window that there's like a lot of people starting to that weren't there when we parked, starting to congregate behind our van.
I know exactly where you are. Is this the parking lot behind Wendy's looking at the
Yes.
creek? Yeah.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly where we were.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. And I keep like, it started off with like 5 people, and then like I keep looking in the rearview mirror, and like there has to be a dozen people, maybe up to 20 people who are now just standing around in the parking lot, like right behind our van. And so we finish our meal. My boy the whole time is just like turned around, like looking at him the whole time, trying to figure out what's going on. And so as we very carefully and gently and slowly back out of the parking spot, I roll down my window and just like ask, I'm like, is there a Pokemon around here or something? And I got a yep. These people, it wasn't a party of people. They were strangers to one another, although I'm sure they meet up with each other on accident every once in a while in places like this. And one of the old tropes of the early Pokemon Go days came to fruition because then I backed out and then I'm pulling around to make the U-turn in the parking lot to get to the exit. And I have to stop at one point because there's a guy standing right there in the middle of the area where cars drive, head down. And I wait for no joke, no less than 5-7 seconds, which is a long time if you sit there and count it out. And he does not know, like, I'm like 5 feet away from him, waiting for him to move. My window is still down. So I'm like, oh, excuse me, buddy. He looked up, didn't apologize or anything. He looked up real quick and then just kind of like shuffled a few feet, still looking at his phone the whole time. I'm like, I know for certain that it tells you to keep aware of your surroundings when you open it.
It does.
And you, sir,
you are ignoring that.
are ignoring that. So, questions from guys who, I don't know if you guys are still doing the Pokemon Go thing or you are. Does this happen to you where you go someplace and you find like a dozen other people independently playing Pokemon Go? And B, are there time-oriented things that cause them all to be there at the same time?
There are definitely time-oriented things that would cause people to be placed at the same time, and still lots of ways to connect on social media that people can meet up with strangers to do like things like raids to battle
trades.
Stronger Pokemon that you need more people to do.
Uh,
It sounds like he wanted to be the very best, like no one ever was. So I understand if that Pikachu was pretty important, but I'm pretty reactive at this point, and I don't go out of my way anymore to play the game. So we were just down at Nationwide Arena for the Columbus Fury pro women's volleyball game. Of course, while I'm there and sitting around waiting on the game or in between periods, I'm going to flip open my phone and catch a few things and spin a few Pokestops. But I don't, unlike earlier on days when we would get in a car and drive around Columbus to look for parks and to look for events and things like that. I don't do that anymore. Kory, do you proactively or are you more reactive at this point?
I'm passive. I'm a passive Pokemon goer now. When I do whip it out, people are like, "You're still playing that?" So to your first question, Kendall, there are less and less people just generally out and about playing. If you see a group of people, it's probably now because of an event, a timed event, where you're getting like double the XP or rare Pokemon, or there's a raid, or people meet up to trade. There are no longer the little regional biomes like there used to be. Creekside used to be a hot spot for water type Pokemon. So you could go down there and get like a Dragonite was really hard to get. So you'd need a lot of Dratini. I am sounding like the biggest geek right now, but if you know, you know.
That's my
you could catch a ton of Dratini and get a Dragonite in like a couple hours at Creekside. That's no longer the case. So some of that like general congregating of geeks has died down, but there is definitely the like timed and event-based stuff.
Yeah.
That still
it was such a weird experience. Like they were all quiet. They're all like looking down at their phones like zombies.
Uh-huh.
And that was the only thing that crossed my mind is this has to be a Pokemon thing.
Yep.
I know just enough about it to make that guess.
Looks like a duck, walks like a duck.
Yeah.
Probably a Pokemon.
There's some friends of mine from high school play Pokemon Go, and I had a few of them over. So last weekend, and we played a game called Dominion, which is really fun, which I had never played before. It's a card-based fantasy style kind of game where you're finding a way to get victory points and you count them up at the end and see who won. Good game. I endorse it. We spent hours playing that, but they were talking about Pokemon Go, and the one friend of mine who moved into the neighborhood that I grew up in.
Charlemagne. I think that's his name.
Which is a collection of like 20 houses that are otherwise in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know how he did it. But he was able to campaign for or somehow get a Pokestop something on his street.
Yeah.
That's basically his own little personal thing. Like no one else is showing up there for it. It's him in his backyard just being able to play Pokemon Go. And other friends of mine were complaining about the unfairness of the world that he was able to do that. Which I
Yes.
say he lives in probably the most remote spot than any of my friends. In which case he probably just leveled out the advantage a little bit.
Yeah, it balances things out. So once you reach a certain level, the game publisher assumes that you are of a certain credibility or level of dedication, and you can therefore suggest that certain things in nature or out and about in the community should be stops. It tells you, though, that it should be in a public area. It should be something like a statue or a plaque or like a landmark of some kind that is not a food franchise or a business. It should be like some community-based thing. So you can make applications, and people find clever ways around doing that. So that's awesome that he gets to level the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that stayed year or two back, and we tried to submit. You have to submit like a photo and a location of something that's culturally interesting. You can't just take a picture of grass. And just to see if we could get one approved right by my house, he might have taken a picture and then put some artwork on it to make it appear as though there was a painting on something, and then submitted it to see if we could get it approved, and we never did. So it was kind of a test of the integrity of the checks and balances, and it held up very stern. The
Wow.
judges and juries for submitting a Pokestop.
Yeah,
now
and
I have
those
questions. I have questions for Charles now.
yeah, and those questions go out to other players. So other players who can see through a lot of that stuff and go, "Nah, I see what you're doing, guy in the country. You're just trying to get a stop next to your house." Yeah, I have some questions for Charles too. That sounds so. Dominion was good. I think you said it's a Catan-like game.
Yeah, I mean, in ways, it's a card-based game.
Yeah.
And it's similar to Catan. It's also kind of similar to something like Magic the Gathering or something, where you have cards that give you certain abilities and things that you can do. The idea is you're a monarch, and you therefore have like servants and access to different resources and nobles and things like that who can like give you extra actions, give you extra ways to collect points, or like make people discard cards out of their hand, like that sort of thing. So
Nice.
it's fun. It's difficult to explain.
I had an awkward social interaction. If we've got time for another one. Speaking of like awkward social interactions. So there's a spot that Sherry and I love to eat at called Agape. I think there's 3 or 4 in Columbus. It is a make your own type place, like a Chipotle or like a Subway place, but it is Mediterranean food. So like falafel, chicken shawarma, gyros, and things like that. We normally go to the one up here by our place, but we just happened to find ourselves at Polaris. So we were trying a new location for the first time. I like to get a pita. I go back and forth between the gyro, the lamb, and the chicken shawarma. Sherry likes to get a pita as well, but because it can get a little messy, she just asks, "Can you put that in a bowl?" I don't want like a Chipotle bowl where you put all the ingredients in the bowl. I just want you to physically place my gyro that I've ordered into a bowl because I'm going to let it spill out and eat it with a fork. We do that every time at our location. This location, when she says that, the human being behind the register glitched and said, "We don't do pitas in a bowl. We don't do pitas in a bowl. We don't do pitas in a bowl. We don't do pitas in 4 times." She said it, and I'm like, "What's happening?"
Wow.
And I go, no, I understand. We're not asking for like a Chipotle style bowl. We're just saying like, can you physically place the wrapped pita into a bowl instead of wrapped in the paper and on a tray? Can you just put it in the bowl? She goes, we can't do that. And I'm like, oh, okay.
But do you do pitas in a bowl?
And so She goes, hold on, pitas are going to take another 2 minutes. Can you guys step back? Like, she was worked up now. And I'm like, so Sherry and I are looking at each other like, what just happened? What just happened? I don't understand. That was way harder and weirder than it needed to be, right? And she goes, yeah. So the people behind us in line, we go, you guys go ahead. They're not ready for pitas yet. And they go, okay. So then they order. In the meantime, that girl that we made glitch goes back to like the island where they're preparing some of the proteins and stuff. And a young kid comes up and he goes, hey, pitas are ready. What did you guys want? And I go, Euro pita for me. And she wanted a pita, but just in a bowl. And he goes, yeah, we can't do that. And I'm like, okay. So he goes, what do you want on yours? What sauces, what toppings? And we go through the line. And I hear him say to the girl, because she came back to the front again, and they're going, she said in a bowl. And he goes, we're not Chipotle. And now I'm very confused, because one of the other things on their menu is a bowl of all the same ingredients, just not in a pita or on a salad. They will make a bowl of all the stuff.
Yeah.
Wait.
You're not doing the thing that Chipotle, like Chipotle doesn't normally do the thing that you're asking either, right? So it's not, his point is invalid. They do the thing that Chipotle does. They don't do the thing that Chipotle also doesn't normally do unless you ask.
No.
Go ahead,
So
Dylan.
hold on, because hold your thought, Dylan, because I think you're going to go where I'm going to go. So we order a side of fries to share between us with the house sauce, because it's amazing to dip in. We share a drink, we check out, we go to our table, and we're still debriefing this. Like, what just happened? She like straight up, no, sorry. Before we paid, I go, hey, sorry to be confusing earlier to the first girl. She goes, no, I wasn't confused at all. I knew exactly what you meant. We just can't do that. And then gives us 2 bowls to put our pitas in. I didn't even want a bowl. She gives us 2 paper bowls to just place our pitas in. So I can't do it for you, but I can give you the pita and I can give you the bowl, but do not ask me to do that back here. So we pay, we go sit down. We're like, that was so weird. And we're halfway through our meal, and I'm like, I have to know what just happened. And this is where I failed you guys, because I made us promise to one another that when these things happen, we would go back to the person and say, hey, ma'am, I don't care about the interaction at all anymore. Now I'm just super curious. Can you please explain to me what just happened? So I forgot to do that with this agape, but I'm going to go to the one by us, I promise, and say, here's an exchange that happened at your other location. Do you have a policy about pitas in a bowl? Why would she have thought that? She got very worked up. I don't understand. The only thing I can think is that they think that we're in a sly way asking for more ingredients, because a bowl allows for the possibility that more ingredients will be placed, a la his comment about we're not Chipotle. A pita can only hold so much. A bowl holds more. Maybe they're just thinking we're trying to game the system. Dylan, I need your thoughts.
I'm sure that's what you're thinking, or they were thinking. And oftentimes when this kind of thing happens, I end up thinking it's not worth it. Just move on. But what I would want to ask in that situation is, let's stop here. I need you to describe back to me what you think I'm asking for, because I want to make sure we're on the same page. Because what I think you think I'm asking for is drop a pita in a bowl, add double or triple the ingredients that a pita would normally have into a bowl, because people will do that at Chipotle, like a burrito bowl, but they want the tortilla in the bottom and then load up the thing. What I'm asking for is, normally you would make a pita, and if I think of Taco Bell, they make a taco and they slide it into the little paper, and then they fold the paper and put it on a tray. I'm just asking you to do that, but then put it in a bowl, so I have a bowl to eat it out of when I'm done. I don't need more ingredients. I just need an extra It would be like me asking for 2 plates. I want it on a plate and I want an extra plate to like lay out my food and eat it. I'm not asking for more ingredients. I'm asking for an extra thing to eat it on.
Because I went to like, is this about the cost of the bowls? Because they're very nice printed paper bowls with their logo and multiple colors on it. And then I'm like, now I'm Larry David. Like, this is an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like,
There's no chance that they make so much money that it's worth it for them to sit there and debate you over a bowl. No chance. It's not worth it.
oh,
They probably make $8 to $12, and that bowl probably costs them pennies, maybe 20 cents. What at most? It's not worth. If you've ever worked in that before, it's not worth it for something like that. It's like I worked at Taco Bell in high school, and people would say, "Can I get a whole bag full of sauce?" I don't care. Here you go. It's not worth the hassle for what? $1.50 worth of sauce on a $15 order at Taco Bell. It's not worth it. Just take the bag of sauce, man. Just go. And just you're holding up the line. People are going to get angry. It's way more hassle. They had to think you were wanting lots of extra food ingredients and that's what they couldn't do.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe they just didn't. They're so robotic and non-creative in thought that they couldn't put that together. That like, all I want is a normal gyro in a bowl.
when I saw her glitch like that, I'm like, I've watched Love on the Spectrum.
Yeah, it could be that. Could be that.
The way she was like, we don't do pitas in a bowl. 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 I was like,
The other thing is because Chipotle will take a burrito wrap and lay it in a bowl and then pile on ingredients. They might get that a lot and don't do that. And you might have been just the last person to ask that just tipped her over the edge of
That could be. Maybe you were the third one in the last hour.
67 other people had asked that day to do a pita bowl like a Chipotle burrito bowl. And she's like, we don't do pitas in a bowl. We're not Chipotle. The fact that they said we're not Chipotle leads me to believe that they think that's what you're asking for.
See,
Yeah.
I'm just now learning that people ask for a tortilla in the bottom of a burrito bowl.
Yeah, I would have friends that did that. I've never done it, but they'll say, hey, I want a burrito, but can you put it in a bowl? And then
I want an open-faced burrito.
an open-faced burrito, because then
in a
they'll
bowl.
put some and then wrap it smaller. And then some people will make it essentially a second meal. Eat some of the ingredients as a meal, then wrap it, put it in the fridge, come back and eat it later as a burrito. I'm sure Chipotle still does it.
I can't wait to go back when they're not busy and get some answers. And I will report back. But that was very, very interesting and then later comical.
Yeah, what you could do if you want to lock down your solution for every future visit, call and ask for the store manager and say, hey, don't have a complaint, just a question, but I do think I'd like to ask the store manager. Get their name, explain what you want. They will, of course, say yes, because they're not going to hassle somebody over a pennies bowl that costs pennies. And then anytime you go in, you can say, oh, that's weird. Last time I talked to Frank, he said you could do that for me. And then they're going to go, okay. And then they'll just do it.
Frank said it's okay. Frank said it's okay.
Frank said it's okay.
Okay,
Yeah, Frank said it's okay. Frank said it.
yeah, definitely 257 toothpicks. Yeah, gotta watch Jeopardy. Yeah. It also made me think of how comedians will work their set to the level that they're breaking down each word, and the word that a word change could have a drastic impact on the laugh, especially in a punchline. Like Brian Regan does this a lot. He'll change an adjective or something right in the punchline and it gets more. I'm like, is there something in the way that Sherry keeps saying, can I get a pita in a bowl, as opposed to, can I get a pita placed in a bowl? Or can I just get a pita, pause, but can you just put it in a bowl instead? Because pita in a bowl would make me think the first thing, oh, you're trying to get more ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
But if you said, and then when you're done, like if you really cared about that order, could you get it to the point that eliminates all questions?
Yeah. You should
Can you
ask
make me a pita and then last step, just put it in a bowl before you give it to me.
Yeah.
I've even seen like, by the way, but you've planned out the by the way. Like,
Right.
by the way, can you toss that in a bowl?
I mean, easy way around it is to just get the pita, and then when you're checking up, you're like, can I get a bowl real quick? And then just do what you guys had to do, which is just, take it out of the wrapper, put it in the bowl yourself.
Yeah. Ask your regular store how they would advise you to order it. But I think it's that, or you just say, can I get a pita all wrapped up like normal and then just an extra bowl? I'm going to dump it in it. Or can I get a regular pita with regular portions and then just set it in a bowl? Would be another way.
I'm feeling listeners cringe right now for how long we've spent on this, but these are the things we love breaking down 6 ways to Sunday, if you can tell already. What else you guys got for this week?
Oh, yeah, it's not for lack of content. Like I'm looking at our note.
I know we've got like 3 things we haven't ticked off yet.
Oh yeah.
But once again, we've got stuff for next week.
We've got stuff for next week.
We're working on a list, man. We've got stuff that's been hanging out topically for longer than a few weeks.
Oh yeah, this is great. No, I think this is good. We got hot ones. We talked about pitas. It was a very refined set of topics for this episode. I think it was really good. I'm okay to wrap if you guys are.
Yeah, sounds good. No pun intended.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But put
awesome. Yeah, we're thinking alike. It'll also be good to get in person soon as these kids events start winding down for the season. Thank you for tuning in for another week of From the Middle. The mid-bit content of our Hot Ones challenge will be dropping soon. We will let you guys know when that hits the YouTubes. But thanks for tuning in. As always, thank you to Artius Man, our sponsor. They make phenomenal men's grooming products made from natural ingredients with really good smelling oils. I highly recommend all of their products, but especially their beard oils. And their soy blend woodwick candles, one of my favorites. Go check them out at artiusman.com. That's ARTIUSMAN.com. And use promo code The Middle. That's all one word, all caps, in the promo box of checkout to get 25% off of your very first order. If you've never purchased from them before, you will be glad you did. And catch us next week. Episodes drop every Wednesday. Let us know in the comments below your thoughts on all these issues and other things that you would like for us to discuss. And we will catch you guys next time.